Hey guys, we're here back today. We're at Hit Games Conference in Abu Dhabi in the Yas Creative Hub. And I'm here today joined with Sahand. He's from Dropout Games based in Tehran. It's the first Persian studio that we've met. And excited to meet you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really.
Yeah, so why don't you tell us a bit more about your company, what you're up to now, and kind of, you've got a bit of an interesting background in your game development process for Dropout Games. So yeah, tell us firstly a bit more about the name. Where did the name come from, and what do you guys do?
All right, okay, so I think when we were talking about coming up with the name, we wanted to be about somebody who goes against the flow, like challenging the status quo and all of that. And so we founded the company around 8 years ago, my partner and I, and we used to make mobile games for around 6 to 7 years. We were decently successful at that. We had around 60, 70 million users. And so around a couple of years ago, the market got so saturated, so competitive, that we had to sit down and think about what we actually wanted to be doing for the long term. And so we realized we didn't want to be in the mobile games market anymore. And that's how we got into making VR games. That's what we've been doing for the past 12 months. Yeah, and it's going great.
Yeah. So obviously it was a big decision to move away from mobile games, and you said you had 60 to 70 million users. How did you feel about leaving those users behind and doing something totally new? There must have been a lot of conflicting kind of thoughts, and why did you do that kind of move?
I mean, I made it seem like a sudden move, but it wasn't so sudden really, because we have been trying to make it work. We had been trying to make it work for around 2 years, and right around the time when the new app tracking transparency rules by Apple went into effect, I think a lot of studios started scrambling to get their UA right, and so ever since that time we've been trying to make it work, and so we realized we really couldn't. So we really couldn't compete anymore with the new LTVs that was required for a game, and with the new cost of user acquisition, it just didn't make sense anymore to us. And so in a way, the math didn't add up. And I don't know if there's a really excellent interview done by Deconstructor of Fun with the VP of Games at Voodoo. And so right now, the chances of success for a hypercasual game are around 1 in every 250 prototypes.
Wow.
And so as a production studio, it doesn't make sense anymore. And
okay.
So
So why move away from hypercasual, fully away from mobile, into this crazy world of VR? What was the thinking there?
Yeah, it's actually a little bit like a personal thing. We had been keeping a close eye on the VR market for around 5 years now, I think. And so we were waiting for the right time to jump on that whole thing. And 2023, 2024 have been a especially competitive year for VR and MR, and Apple introduced their own headset, and what we're seeing with Meta and Snap unveiling their futuristic prototypes of their AR glasses, and there's other companies like Xreal is doing some great things with their AR glasses. And so we thought if we're going to be doing something worthwhile in the next 5 years, now would be the right time to catch that train.
That's cool. So I mean, VR is obviously an exciting area. I haven't got much experience in it there myself, but obviously it's super cool. But tell me a bit about what's it like doing game development in Iran? What's the scene there? How did you even learn about gaming? Who do you collaborate there? And what's it like from a kind of financial government standpoint? Is there any help at all from anything whatsoever?
Well, our experience in Iran has been that you can stay away from all the political turmoil
Yeah.
most of the time, and there are a lot of challenges, of course, and the reason for me being in this very conference is to look at other opportunities we have for like relocating our company to other countries.
Yeah.
You can tell with that the conditions aren't very nice back in Iran, but what I've found to be the most problematic, I think the two most problematic things are one, that there's a lot of economic instability.
Yeah.
It really takes a toll on your operations as a game development company, and also there is a pronounced lack of like top level talent right now, because like everybody who gets to a certain point leaves Iran.
Yeah.
That's how things are.
Yeah.
And so it's really difficult to find good talent.
And what is it in terms of if top talent leaves, where does the talent get fostered? I mean, is there like, do you have incubation? Do you have any like schooling? Like, how do you learn game development in Iran?
Oh, actually, we have really good schools.
Nice. Okay.
Compared to the region, I think
Yeah.
we have really good schools, like, especially engineering schools.
Okay. Yeah.
We have really good engineers being trained, but
Are you a game engineer or a game developer by background yourself?
yeah,
Yeah.
engineering background.
So there's a lot of talented developers,
That's true.
and that's what's inspired kind of somewhat of a gaming scene there.
Exactly. Yeah, but they don't stay.
No,
That's the
but
problem.
one of the things I think that could be interesting, do you think like all the money that's going on in Saudi Arabia and also UAE here that we see in Abu Dhabi, could there be a way of bringing some of that, like doing a collaboration with some of the talent in Tehran and using like, you know, because you say a lot of them leave, but do they stay in the region? Or is there not much collaboration there up till now that you know of?
Well, I think the main route Iranian talent takes is through like continuing their higher education.
Yeah.
So they end up doing like master's degree,
Yeah.
doctorate's degree. But there's a smaller portion of that talent that goes through the like work visas, because we have a weak passport, and so
Yeah.
there's a long process we have to go through to
To move
get
to the
in.
West. Yeah.
That's true. But yeah, there's definitely, I think, a lot of potential to use that kind of talent, and that's what we're trying to do. But frankly, I don't know. I told you about it, but I wanted to be on the podcast as well. But that the environment hasn't been like really kind to us.
Right.
They were very welcoming. You know, my first encounter with this event was that my speech was canceled by the government, and so
Yes,
not
yeah.
a very welcoming atmosphere towards Iranian
Yeah.
nationals.
But why was it cancelled? Any ideas?
No idea.
Okay.
But
That's
it
a
happened
shame.
to a couple other Iranian guys as well.
Sure,
so
yeah,
I'm guessing
yeah.
it's got something to do with our passport. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I mean, but you were allowed. You can freely visit the region, but they blocked your talk for some reason.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So that just stems to me like that there is a lack of collaboration still going on. You know what I mean? That shouldn't be happening. You're coming here to talk about. You know, what were you here to? What were you originally going to be talking about?
Yeah, I was actually going to talk about our experience in mobile game development, which I thought was going to be really helpful to some other game development studios that come to this event, and actually was going to propose a new way of thinking about long-term game development, sustainable game development, and so yeah, I really felt like we had something to share. But
Well, I mean, you can share it on my podcast instead, so not an issue. Look, again, this is the kind of the stuff we want to uncover in the region. Unfortunately, these kind of things happen, and we need to also expose these things to say, hey, they shouldn't happen. Let's try and do something about it. I mean, whether we can or we can't, but at least it should be well known that this kind of issues are occurring. So in terms of your company location, obviously your studio's in Tehran, but you mentioned something about having financial, like your company being incorporated elsewhere.
yeah, we're incorporated in Istanbul, and I think one of the primary reasons we're still based in Tehran is that it's really cheap to operate a company in Tehran. Like, you wouldn't believe how cheap it is. Like,
Yeah.
but
Does it make sense? I mean, obviously the political landscape not good right now, but do you think in the future ever that could make sense for foreign companies going into the region? Or-
yeah, exactly. Like that's it's such a shame that like there are such tall walls like around the country.
Yeah.
That we have like in Iran there's a very inexpensive and like well-educated workforce.
Yeah,
And
it always has been. Yeah, many
Yeah.
doctors and whatnot. Yeah,
it's true, but it's just impossible to work to do that kind of work at the moment.
yeah,
It's a shame. And you know, at some point, I think it was around a year ago, for us, the cons of operating in Iran started outweighing the pros. And so,
yeah.
we've started to look at our alternatives since then.
Yeah, and are you considering at all operating your business? Why did you start operating your business in Turkey rather than in the UAE?
We have a lot of connections and a lot of friends in there, and so and the upfront costs were really cheap,
Yeah,
$1,500, something like that.
okay.
And so we just needed a legal entity
Yeah.
somewhere else, and
Yeah.
it's worked out fine for us so far.
Yeah. And so what's the next step with you guys as a business? Are you like you have this VR, like tell us a bit more about what you're doing in VR.
Okay.
And what's your next step? What's like obviously you also said you're self-funded, so you don't you obviously only have a certain length of time on your roadmap. But what are you looking for publishing? I guess you're looking for that kind of thing. So how or are you self-publishing? Just give us a bit more insight for the podcast on what exactly your game development for VR looks like, and what's the next? What are you looking for in general?
Sure. So right now we're in this very weird position in VR where we really love what the future of it could look like. We really love the potential that it has, its future,
Yeah.
and at the same time we really hate the current state that it's in. Like,
Yeah.
especially the hardware. Like, there has been like some great advancements in terms of VR and chip design.
Yeah.
But the headsets are still super uncomfortable, and the experiences are uncomfortable, motion sickness, all that kind of stuff is still a thing. And so how we position ourselves in this market is that we try to stay as far away from all those problems that VR right now has,
Yeah.
and try to give a good experience for the users of VR that are not hardcore gamers. And so we believe hardcore VR gamers are the audience that are mainly catered to in the Meta
Yeah.
Quest platform.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so we're trying to position ourselves away from
Sort of
that.
casualize it somewhat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we see ourselves as a casual VR studio, and so that's what we're trying to do. And we're bringing over some of our mobile expertise as well. Some of our development processes. We're still doing rapid prototyping. We make one game per month, and if it shows good feedback, good results, we iterate on it. And yeah, we try to not discard all the experience we gathered from mobile, and so and actually
So you're kind of taking the casual learnings you have from mobile and trying to implement that on VR.
because
Pretty
we
smart, I
believe
guess.
like if there is going to be mainstream adoption of VR,
Yeah,
it's going
it needs to be
those
yeah, it
users.
needs to be it needs to be a casual audience if it's going to be mainstream.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Pretty interesting. What's your opinions though on the cost of these kind of platforms? I know Meta has kind of slightly less expensive products compared to the very like expensive Vision Pro, but
Yeah.
how is it going to be casualized when you have Vision Pro at that kind of price level? I mean, what is it, like a couple of $1,000, $3,000?
That's true, yeah. I know, as I told you before, I think Apple Vision Pro is positioned in a way as to give mostly developers and pro users a glimpse into what the future might look like. And it definitely has no chance of appealing to the mass audience. So, but what Meta is doing with their Quest platform, I think it just might have a shot. And like you can buy a Quest 2 for like, I don't know, $200. Is that right? So I personally really love what they're doing with the Quest platform, but at the same time, I really think it's not ready for mainstream adoption yet. Maybe that's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. So how does that look for you guys as a business? Like, if it's not got mainstream adoption yet, you're doing casual games. What do you see? What's the future for you guys?
Right. So I'm going to share some pretty interesting stats with you.
Yeah.
Well, if you remember, I said like the chances of a hypercasual / hybrid casual becoming successful.
Yeah.
In the current
1 out of
market.
250.
1 out of 250. Well, an incredible piece of information we found was that there are only 4,000 games on the MetaQuest platform right now, and out of those 4,000 games, the top 10% have all made more than, I think, I might have messed up the exact number, but they have all made more than $200,000 in their lifetime. And so it's if you put that in contrast with the mobile market, where only like 1 or 2% of the game actually make money, I think we have a pretty good chance of making something that can sustain us for the long run, because the odds are not like as horrible as mobile, and we'll just have to wait for when the adoption of this hardware gets to a point where we can actually be one of the key players in that market. When the time is right.
So are you looking to self-publish them to start finish on that point, or are you looking for publishers? Are you looking for investment? How are you going to make money in the future? Because I know you have you mentioned to me earlier, you have like a 1.5-year run rate. Like,
that's true.
How do you plan on making a financially sustainable business going forward?
Well, right now we're not like actively looking for outside investment, because I already mentioned, like, we have around 1.5 to 2 years of runway. And so our primary focus right now is to make something of that 1.5 years, and to actually publish something worthwhile in that time frame. But towards the end of that period, I guess like naturally we'll be more open to investment opportunities. And so right now we're hoping to stumble upon a good game in the next 6 or 7 months. But you can bank on that. You can't bank on that. But we're not actively looking for investment, but we're open to offers.
Okay, cool. And anything else you want to share to the podcast about just closing thoughts on anything about the company or the region before we close it off?
Sorry, I just want to. Are you from Making?
No. It's okay. So any closing thoughts? I'm gonna add to what you said about the potential for collaboration in the region. Of course, I'm all for that.
And how do you think that will occur?
Well, there's just a lot of the political stuff that you can't get away from, and that creates a lot of animosity. You know, and so what happened here with my speech, is forcing me to take sides, and I don't want to have to take sides. I just want to be making my games and like going to such events, and so I think if that goes away, if we get to a more neutral state when there's like the shadow from all the political stuff goes away and doesn't interfere so much with our business, like as game developers and publishers. I think there's definitely room for improvement, and they're actively investing so much. Like the Gulf countries are actively investing so much in game development and the game industry that it's such a shame that such political issues can interfere with that, because there's a huge amount of like potential.
Yeah, I mean that is obviously one of the problems in the region, and it's not an easy one to solve, to be honest. Like, how are we supposed to solve it? I mean, we can talk about it. That's the best we can do.
What can we do, really?
So well, perfect. Thanks so much for taking the time, man, to come on the podcast, and also good to get to know you. I wish you all the success with Dropout Games, and hopefully you guys see you around at another event soon. And I'm interested to play. I haven't played VR for a number of years.
I'll definitely show you.
I love to give your casual VR games a test. So I'm looking forward to catch up with you.
It was really nice talking to you.
Yeah, pleasure.